Rushanara Ali.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Let me start off by joining with other right honourable members and honourable members in commemorating the lives of the 72 people who lost their lives in the tragedy, Grenfell tragedy, which was completely needless, and it was a man-made disaster. The people and also to acknowledge the tireless efforts of community organisations, but most importantly public servants such as firefighters who worked incredibly hard to save people. The situation with ACM cladding, as others have pointed out, affects many thousands of residents across the country, both in social housing as well as in private housing blocks. Madam Deputy Speaker, in my constituency, we have among the highest number of ACM-cladded blocks, and across Tower Hamlets, probably the most number of blocks. Families are living in fear for their lives because of the failure of the government to take urgent action. While after continuous campaigning with Inside Housing, with Grenfell United, the survivors, colleagues across the House, some funding has been provided, but it is not enough, and it doesn't address the wider systemic failures that have been exposed by the Grenfell fire disaster. That is why we have continuously called on the government to ensure that the resources are available, but the government takes action to go after private freehold owners of private blocks, because our constituents are being left to take that fight to them. And it's been over 2.5 years, and very few of those blocks have had the work undertaken to remove the cladding. And the lack of urgency in this government is extremely worrying, because we all have to deal with the spectre of other fires having taken place since Grenfell, and the risk of further fires and disasters happening if action isn't taken quickly. In addition to that, the government's regulations, the government's actions to deregulate has meant that residents don't have the recourse to support that's required to deal with problems when they arise. And I ask the government ministers to urgently address that matter rather than waiting for the inquiries, findings, the reports, the further reports to come out, because the government knows what the problems are. The government knows that these actions can be taken immediately in order to provide remedy and provide reassurance to our constituents, and the resources that are required to ensure that they can live in safety. Madam Deputy Speaker, my final remark is really about ensuring that the government, instead of constantly making excuses, takes action.